Outside Phoenix these days, it gets pretty intense in terms of heat. Well, inside Phoenix Suns Arena, it figures to be pretty hot and pretty intense too, as two longtime rivals in the WNBA meet again, the Minnesota Lynx and the Phoenix Mercury. Hi everyone, and welcome to an evening of WNBA basketball. Along with the Hall of Famer Ann Myers-Drysdale, I'm Jeff Munn. The second of back-to-back games between the Lynx and Mercury. Minnesota won with a really solid performance from the field on Wednesday night, 82-76. I tell you, Ann, as was the case Wednesday night, I think tonight you're going to see two really key performers, one for each team, dictate how this game's going to go. Starting first with the Mercury's Brittney Griner.
Yeah, Brittney Griner is coming off two really well-played games. In that first half against Minnesota, she was 10 of 10 from the floor. But again, the last two games, you can see her numbers. And against Vegas, she had 30 points, and she's had 9 double-doubles this year already with 2 dunks. And so she's important not only to get involved in the offense, but she showed how she can shoot from the outside. But she really has to be effective, I think, on the defensive end and really rebound tonight.
Now, on the Minnesota side of things, Kayla McBride had a phenomenal game on Wednesday night, 5 of 7 from three-point range, and she figures again to be a key performer for the Lynx this season.
She's a 36% plus three-point shooter, and she just kind of got going. That's only her second 20-point game, and certainly she is a type of player that's going to beat you from a lot of different places, and not only from the outside, which she shot so well from three-point range. She's a 3-time All-Star, and this is her first time on another team with Minnesota, so she's still kind of feeling her oats as far as where she fits in.
This game has a lot of implications in terms of the standings, the season series. It's the final meeting between the two, so there's a lot on the line this evening here at Phoenix Suns Arena. We'll have more as we get ready for tip-off between the Lynx and Mercury right after this. And we mentioned a moment ago about the outside shooting of Kayla McBride, but Minnesota's got an inside presence too. In fact, they have two really strong players inside in Sylvia Fowles and Nafisa Collier.
Yeah, Fowles is just a tremendous center, and Cheryl Reeve has called her the best center that's ever played in this league. And so there's been some good ones. But Collier, one of the great young players, first-time Olympian, and she just does it all. She beats you in so many different ways, and there you're going to see Fowles. And Fowles has developed a great game, too. She's going for her third Olympics. And to watch these two play has really been fun because, again, last year it was kind of the first year, but Fowles had to sit out some of those games because she was hurt. So this is the first year that they're really getting back, and Collier missed the first few games. And but boy, has she been dynamic.
Yeah, and when you have as strong an inside game and the outside shooting of McBride, it just poses a whole lot of problems for teams. And the Lynx have really shot consistently well of late. In 7 of their last 10 games, they've shot 45% or better from the field, including the 50+% on Wednesday night in a win here over the Mercury. Here are the starting lineups, and no changes from Wednesday night. As you can see, Fowles, Collier, McBride, Clarington, and Demiris Dantas for Minnesota. Diggins Smith, Nurse Taurasi, and Diana Taurasi in her third game back after missing about a month due to injury. Brianna Turner and Brittney Griner. Griner said the other night she had the strong game, but her quote was, "Yeah, I put up a lot of good numbers, but we didn't win, so it doesn't matter." And I kind of like that approach. I mean, you want a player to be focused on winning the game.
And it's always the case. I mean, players, yeah, the numbers are great, but they don't look at it, honestly. It's about winning, and if you win, your team goes forward. And getting to the championship is so important. And both these teams, obviously Minnesota winning 4, and Phoenix has won 3, and I should say Sylvia Fowles going for a 4th Olympics, not 3rd. But you know, Sylvia Fowles and Brittney Griner has been such a great matchup for a long time.
Yes.
Minnesota, you know, the big thing for them is they've got to score inside, and they last 6 games they've outscored their opponents in the paint, and did big against Phoenix the other night. And Phoenix, they've got to execute. I mean, they did well in the first half, but yet Minnesota is right there. So the execution is blocking out on the offensive boards because the Minnesota Lynx did such a great job. 12 offensive rebounds. They average over 7 rebounds a game on the offensive end. And then they've got to set picks. They've got to, make good passes. Just the execution and really think out there what they're doing.
We mentioned the standings and the implications of this game, and we're basically at the midway point of the season, so it's a little hard to say that this is a must-win game for either team, but the Lynx and Mercury have played twice. They've split the two games. They're separated by one game in the standings, so it's not hard to figure out that this game is going to be vitally important if we get into a tiebreaker situation at the end of the year for playoff seeding.
And if you look at that very first game for both teams, it was in Minnesota and basically won by the Mercury with Diana Taurasi tossing in a three-point shot at the buzzer.
Yeah, and so many of these games between these two teams go that way. This has been, as we said, one of the most intense rivalries. I know every team in the league likes to say we have a rival and it's a really intense rivalry. I honestly believe, and you would know this better than anybody, here's that game winner by Taurasi on opening night. They had the issue with the clock, but it was going to count no matter what. But I honestly think, Ann, that the Mercury derives more joy from beating Minnesota and feels more pain from losing to them than just about any other team in the league. And I'll throw the LA Sparks in with that. I think these games between the Mercury and Minnesota mean so much to both teams.
So as you said, they've knocked each other out, getting to the finals, and just the matchup with Diana Taurasi, and when they had Simone Augustus and Maya Moore and Taj McWilliams, and it just Katie Smith, which was probably beforehand, but still, it just they've had such great players go through there. And when Cheryl Reeve took over, because they had several coaches way before her, and she's done such a wonderful job, and I love that she gets on her players too. She doesn't care who you are, she's going to direct on how to make you better.
Minnesota opens with the opening tip, and off we go on a Saturday night, and a three in the corner doesn't draw iron.
Now, Dantes is a good three-point shooter, so that's a big plus, though, for Phoenix getting that defensive rebound.
Little change in the uniforms tonight, too. The Mercury were in the home white on Wednesday, and the Lynx wore their road jerseys, and it's turned around for this evening. Nurse.
Well, Nurse had the shot. She had the shot, and then she took it in. And so one of the things Sandy Brondello said, we've got to continue to stay aggressive, but you've got to take good shots, too.
Three at the top doesn't go by Dantes, and back comes Phoenix. And here is Skylar Diggins-Smith.
Now, one of the things Cheryl Reeve talked about after the game for the Lynx was that we only got 9 free throws in that game. How come we're not getting as many free throws as our opponents?
Pass intended for Griner, tipped away, and it's taken out of there by Collier.
Now, 2 turnovers by the Mercury on overpassing.
And that continues to be a huge issue for this team. There is Kayla McBride, and she breaks the seal on the scoring.
She does such a nice job using the screen. And then Skylar Diggins-Smith trying to draw the foul instead of just going in for the shot.
McBride down low, fouls, can't get it to go, and Griner the rebound. What I was going to say about Minnesota, the interesting thing is they do have a strong inside presence. You would assume that they get a fair amount of fouls called their way. But as Cheryl Reeve said, it just hasn't happened that way.
And this is a Lynx team, boy. They've come back from a lot of games down, and down by 18 against Atlanta.
Pass inside, tipped away from Griner and taken out of there by Collier.
Third turnover by the Mercury, and Minnesota has really taken advantage. They've gotten on the run and pushing Phoenix back on transition defense.
Mercury come into tonight averaging a -3 in turnover margin, and it's really hard to develop a momentum and string wins together when you're constantly losing the turnover battle. Clarendon goes to McBride, back to Clarendon. Picked up after New York let her go.
She's been in the league 9 years and had a season high 20 a couple games ago, and Cheryl Reeve just believes in her veteran leadership.
Skylar Diggins-Smith gets the Mercury on the board. Yeah, what a great pickup to get Clarendon. He just got caught up in a numbers battle for roster spots in New York.
Well, Dantes looks like she's been told to take that outside shot.
Taurasi from three-point range puts Phoenix in front. Taurasi, a quieter game on Wednesday night than she had in her return to the lineup last Sunday against the LA Sparks, but it's all part of that just adjustment to get her back into the rotation and readjust the roles for everyone.
Yeah, she was 2 of 14 from the floor.
Fouls. And Nurse grabs the rebound away from Dantas.
Now, even though Turner didn't come up with that rebound, what helped the Suns, or I should say, sorry about that, the Mercury, is the fact that Turner went up with 2 hands.
Griner doesn't get it. Suns are on the mind
Still
of a lot of
excited
people
about the
around
Suns,
here.
yes.
Yeah, that's understandable. Clarendon is fouled, and it's on Skylar Diggins-Smith.
Well, these are the kind of fouls it'll be interesting to see how much they call throughout this game coming through those screens.
Dantas back to Clarendon. And it goes back to Dantas, and it is blocked by Turner out of bounds. And that's something the Mercury do as well as anybody in the league.
Turner just using that left hand. Her timing is so good on the defensive end. It's her 26th block.
A lob in, gets away from fouls, and here is a breakaway for Nurse.
Well, I think that that's a big relief for Nurse, just to get a basket, an easy basket under her belt.
So a 5-0, make it a 7-0 Mercury run. Here's fouls, and Griner the rebound. So at the moment, the Lynx are 1 shot and out. Taurasi. Turner is fouled on the way up.
And that's what you mean about aggressive. And it's an inside pass. It's one of the few they've been able to complete. And Turner holding on to it by being aggressive. And then you see the block by Turner again on Dantas. And Turner getting to the free throw line. But, you know, Turner did a nice job holding on the ball. But, again, being aggressive, attacking your defense, and forcing them to make a foul inside.
Coaches will tell you there's an awful lot of points available when you drive to the hoop, including the 2 that Turner made right there. McBride lobs it down low, and Collier turns and scores it off the glass, and she's fouled.
A heads-up play by the Lynx, and the Mercury getting back not quick enough and not recognizing where the ball was, and a great pass inside to Collier. Just a one-on-one situation. No weak side help by the Mercury.
Collier's close to 90% at the line this year. And even with that, she trails Kayla McBride by quite a bit. McBride's leading the league at 98% from the stripe. Taurasi alone for a 3 at the top. And Dantas the rebound for the Lynx. McBride tries a corner 3 and knocks it down. Well, here we go again.
Well, that's going to open things up, because you can see Dantas or Collier, they're coming right down into the middle of the paint. And so you've got to get back, and otherwise they've got a great pass inside. And when you have McBride hitting shots on the outside, it just opens things up.
Nurse kicks it back out to Diggins-Smith.
Well, you can see the Lynx just laying off. I mean, really, your three-point shooter is Diana Taurasi, and they're sticking to her.
Clarendon backs it out a bit and hits the jumper from the top of the free throw circle. And the Lynx on a bit of a scoring run, and they move back out in front by 3. Nurse a 3 at the top. Clarendon to Dantas. Back down low to Dantas. Nice pass from Clarendon.
You know, it's such a mismatch, too, because the Mercury, you've got Diggins-Smith and Nurse defending big players. And Clarendon, a good passer, getting it inside.
Nurse will try a 3. And the rebound of fouls.
You know, she only took 3 shots in the last game against Minnesota, didn't play as many minutes. Boy, Collier just clearing Nurse out of there.
Dantas tries again from three-point range, and that doesn't go. As you said, they've told her, apparently, try those threes. And a foul that will take us to a timeout. And as a result, it's the Lynx by 5. Prior to the timeout, the foul was on Clarendon. And it was out on the drive, so the Mercury will inbound it. Sophie Cunningham comes in for Phoenix, third-year player out of Missouri.
And Cindy Brundello really trying to use her bench a little bit more this second half of the season.
Diggins-Smith with a 3. Got just a little opening off that screen from Griner.
Well, and what an advantage to have somebody at 6'9" to be able to go behind them and shoot a shot.
McBride, a runner in the lane, rolls around and drops through. And McBride early on with 7 points, 3 for 3 from the field. And they're going to get Griner for too hard a screen that time.
Offensive foul, 42, Bridget Griner, first personal. Into the game for the Lynx, number 6, Bridget Carlton.
As we said, this can be a very intense matchup between these two teams. They've met so many times, as you pointed out, Ann, in postseason play. Bridget Carlton, third-year player out of Iowa State, comes in for Minnesota, and she's got the ball on the right angle. Download of fouls. Scores it against Griner.
Well, the one thing for the Mercury in this game, they're going to have to play 40 minutes. You've got to keep that energy up against this Lynx team because they never stop coming at you.
Megan Walker, Kia Vaughn out there as well. Vaughn has it and gets tied up.
Well, she got intimidated by Sylvia Fowle at 6'6" right there, and one of the top shot blockers in the league. Brittany Griner is number 1, but you know, when you got 6'6" in front of you, even though Kia Vaughn, a veteran player, went down and just said, okay, I'm waiting for it.
And Griner controls it. Cunningham, a runner, fouls the rebound.
She knew she had to get the ball up. Shot clock was running down.
That's right.
And look at how quickly the Lynx get the ball down the court, and nice block out by Cunningham. But, you know, again, transition defense going to be very important for the Mercury.
Crystal Dangerfield in for Minnesota. And a 3 by Diggins-Smith doesn't go.
Now Walker did a nice job on the rebound.
2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. 2 minutes.
McBride to Dangerfield. Download a foul. And, yeah, that's a travel.
Now Cheryl Reeve feels that the last possession, 2 possessions by the Lynx with Sylvia Fowles was getting bumped by Brittany Griner, and she gets called for a travel there.
And Cheryl Reeve explaining her case to the officials.
Well, and the other thing in this last game, Griner took 10 shots. She's only taken 1 in this first half. She took 10 in the first half the last time.
Cunningham gives it inside, and Vaughn knocks it down.
Yeah, Vaughn's so good with that little jump hook.
Fouls again against Griner. Having trouble getting position, but makes the shot anyway.
She uses either hand so well, and you can see her footwork down there pivoting.
That was a great athletic move. Cunningham all the way to the hoop. Somebody left her alone, and she just had a clear path to the basket. And I believe they'll get Cunningham for a foul here against Carlton.
Yeah, I love her aggressiveness. The unfortunate thing with this season especially, she gets called for a lot of fouls, whether she's out of position or just so physical. Played with a kid at UCLA, we used to call her Bam Bam. It's like Sophie Cunningham Bam Bam. Minnesota's done a nice job, though, controlling the tempo of this game. And Brittany Griner, we saw this last game where she came out early in the first quarter.
Jessica Shepard comes in for the Lynx, and Turner back in for the Mercury to give Griner a rest. Dangerfield almost lost it. Tries at three. And a great block out there by Turner.
Well, certainly a focus in the off day that 2 days that the Mercury had against the Lynx, because they just got dominated on the offensive glass.
Vaughn is going to get called for a three, I believe.
Yeah, she was waiting for somebody to cut and get open.
It's the fifth Mercury turnover to just two for the Lynx. And as we said, that's right at the Mercury average, -3 in the turnover battle this year.
Well, right now the Mercury out-rebounding the Lynx, but the Lynx shooting much better from the floor.
Foul outside. It's over the team foul limit. It's going to be on Kia Vaughn. And I believe that's going to send Jessica Shepard to the free throw line.
Another stat that stood out in that last game is how the Lynx had more assists than the Mercury, which the Mercury, they score so well when they're moving the ball. And that last game, it did stick a lot. They've only got 2 assists in this first quarter, where the Lynx have 5.
Makes them both. And we come to the final 10 seconds of this first quarter. Nice. Underneath and in for Brianna Turner. Dangerfield doesn't get it at the buzzer, but Minnesota a 4-point lead. So the Lynx lead at 22-18 through 1 quarter of play at Phoenix Suns Arena. Lynx lead it by 4 through 1 quarter, and as was the case Wednesday night, Minnesota being led offensively by Kayla McBride.
Kayla McBride, the number 3 pick by the San Antonio Stars back in 2014. Boy, she just, with this new team, has not slowed down at all. And, you know, her numbers have been pretty consistent. 2018 was probably her best scoring over 18 points a game. And I'm sure she'll warm up to this team as the games go on.
So the Mercury start with possession to open the second quarter. Mercury shot 41% from the field in the first quarter. Lynx 45%.
Well, Lynx had 10 points in the paint in that first quarter.
And McBride commits a foul, and that's Kayla McBride's first. Taurasi back out there. She played 6 minutes in the first quarter. Shot in the lane goes in for Diana Taurasi.
She's so deadly when she gets in there and creating not only space for herself, but creating fouls.
Dangerfield, a drive and a hoop.
Well, Dangerfield came in for Clarendon in that first half. Clarendon in the other night only played about 9 minutes in the first half. Dangerfield, even though she didn't hit her shot, she was 1 of 8, but she was so effective in passing the ball with 7 assists.
Ball knocked away and picked up by Carlton.
Now, you just cannot hold the ball over your head. I mean,
and McBride lays it in.
Clarendon with the nice pick right there, and that's 6 turnovers by the Mercury, 10 points by the Lynx off of those.
And McBride is 4 for 4 from the field. There's a foul.
That was a tough pass and catch. We've talked about Turner's ability to catch such, difficult passes, and she was right underneath the basket, but does a great job getting it to the basket. And Clareton with the nice hands, who's going to be playing for Canada. No, Australia.
That's right.
Get it right, Annie. We've got so many Olympians playing for Canada, Australia, and the United States, and the 3-on-3 for the United States.
Lynx lead is 4. Here is Collier in the left corner.
But Canada.
I'll tell you, Canada has really become a power in women's basketball in international competition.
Well, they've really put the money into it. 1976 was the very first year of women's basketball in the Olympics. Canada hosted, so they were automatic. But a lot of the players, too, have gone to colleges in the United States. So the players have developed there. But, you know, their government, their governing body has put more money into the women's program.
Last time the Summer Games were in the U.S. in Atlanta, Canada fielded a team, but they didn't do very well. And boy, has it changed. And McBride with a three.
Now, how about the men's Canadian team did not make it this year in the qualifying tournament?
Here's a three in the corner by Megan Walker off the pass from Diana Taurasi.
And that's all you ask from Taurasi or any of the other Mercury players that penetrate. You're wide open in the corner. You're wide open for a three. You've got to knock those down.
McBride spins.
What a great back door.
Kayla McBride is putting on a show, and we're only about 3 minutes into the second quarter. She's got 14 points.
Now, this is the fourth youngest team in the league.
Ooh, they get Taurasi for the travel. And that's another Phoenix turnover.
Sandy Brondello again talked about execution and being aggressive, which you want to be aggressive, but the execution right now is not there for the Mercury.
And Diana Taurasi gets charged for a technical. You saw the shot of her speaking, quote unquote, with the official. And Collier will shoot the tee.
Well, certainly wants an explanation about getting inside. I'd take the travel over the foul, but the fact that she got called for a technical, and you know, it's another thing that Sandy Brondello talked about is like they've got to have the discipline, you know, not to foul, but also the discipline to be able to execute and run your offense. Nope, nobody on Dantas, and one of the things that Sandy Brondello says, you cannot leave people open. You've got to contend.
And Dantas finally knocks one down on her fifth try from three-point range, and Sandy Brondello says we need a timeout. The Lynx have stretched their lead to 10 here, 3 minutes into the second quarter. Let's take a look at some news and notes around the WNBA. And Annie, I noticed there was a huge response in social media, and a lot of it was shock when Seattle waived Candace Dupree.
Well, her minutes had diminished, and Katie Lewis Samuelson had come back from the 3-on-3 Olympic team qualifications. And I think just not only her minutes diminishing, where they were going to fit her in. And I know Kennedy Burke from UCLA, she was in Indiana last year, and she's moved on to the team. And so, you know, you got Stewie, who's playing really, really well, and they went with the younger players, even though Sue Bird at 40 is doing it.
And that Seattle team is rolling at the moment. There's a three in the right corner by Carlton. Mercury are going to see Seattle here. They've got 3 games after tonight before the Olympic break. That foul is on Carlton, and that's her second.
Yeah, and you look at the Lynx, I mean, they are 10th in three-point shooting. The Mercury are 11th. And right now, 4 of 10 for the Lynx, 3 of 8 for the Mercury. Will they count it?
I believe they did, and Diggin Smith certainly thinks they should. And they do count it. It's a 3, and Dangerfield picks up the foul.
Yeah, she recognizes that Dangerfield's arms are out there and right on her, and just a smart move.
Diggin Smith, 81% at the line this year. And that's a 4-point play, and boy, did the Mercury need that. Fouls back out there for Minnesota. Carlton goes in.
Collier all by herself in
Yeah.
the lane. Cannot believe she didn't go up for the shot.
Dangerfield goes back out to Carlton. Dantas
Well,
off the glass.
Fouls just backed Griner up into the middle, and the Mercury went into a zone, and Taurasi wide open.
And didn't get it to go.
There was contact. There was
There
contact.
was.
They didn't call it. And the fact, though, that she went for the contact more than the shot And there again, Sylvia Fowles getting down underneath the basket, and the Mercury continue to allow the Lynx players to do that on the post. But, you know, a frustrating play and possession by the Mercury and Diana Taurasi. It's like, you know, I got the contact. How do you not call the foul?
And Turner commits the personal at the other end. Brianna Turner's first. And Taurasi's got to be kind of careful. She's already got a tee. Carlton. Dantas. And it's knocked away. Carlton saves it. Clarendon back in, and the ball is knocked out of bounds. The Lynx will keep it.
Yeah, Nurse got her hands on it, almost got it, but Carlton came back, did a nice job and keeping it alive, and then you thought that Diggin Smith was going to come up with it, but it went off her hands. And Nurse is another Canadian that played at UConn and will be playing on the Canadian national team with Carlton.
And Clarendon is fouled by Diggin Smith.
Well, I know that, as I mentioned before this game, or I should say after the last game, that Cheryl Reeve was very vocal about calls as far as going the way for them, for the Lynx, hoping that they can get to the line a little bit more. And she's very good at working the officials, as Bill Lambier is, and there's a couple others in this league, but those two are probably the best at working the officials.
That's a painful foul for the Mercury because the Lynx shot clock was running down. They get 14 back. And Dantas tries another three and hits it.
Clarendon makes a nice pass, and Dantas is being left open, and she missed those first 3-4 shots. And as you said, she's nailed the next few.
Biggest lead of the night so far for the Lynx. Diggin Smith tried to get a rebound off her own miss, but Clarendon comes out with it for Minnesota.
The ball not falling for the Mercury.
Collier. And they call the offensive foul. Kayla McBride comes back in for Minnesota.
And here's the drive by Collier, and just dips the shoulder a little bit, whether she dips it or not, but Nurse goes flying, and Mercury get the call. But they've got to start converting on the offensive end. Either that or make defensive stops.
Taurasi underneath the Turner. And it finally drops through.
She's had a few like that. It's like, oh, please go in.
The great pass from Taurasi. Dantas. Turner knocks it away. Loose ball is...
Did they call a foul?
They did.
Well, these two are going to be teammates on USA Basketball, and the question was asked earlier to Diana Taurasi about who do you look forward to playing with, and she said Naphecia Collier. But she also said today that the USA, this will be her fifth Olympic team, but she said right now the USA, they're my teammates then, but now we just want to kick the crud out of all those opponents.
Lynx lead it by 12 with a timeout. And you mentioned Diana Taurasi, and Naphecia Collier will be on the Olympic team. Here's a look at the entire roster that will play for Dawn Staley in Tokyo.
Yeah, Bird and Taurasi going for their fifth Olympic. That will tie Teresa Edwards with 5 Olympics. And then Fowles going for her fourth, which will tie Lisa Leslie and Tamika Catchings. Then you got Tina Charles, BG being in her second one, Brittany Griner, along with Brianna Stewart. I just want to keep calling her Stewie. But they interviewed Skylar Diggin Smith the other day about making her first Olympics, and she goes, I'll be the oldest first year at 30 years old. But she was very emotional about it, how hard she's worked. You know, she had her pregnancy, and then she had the knee injury early on in her career and so forth. So she's really, this has meant a lot to her.
McBride, another three. She is 7 for 7 from the field, 3 for 3 from three-point range. 17 points. Griner back in, and a late foul call on Fowles, I believe.
Yeah, Griner makes a great move on Fowles way outside the key, and it's too bad that she can't use her left hand a little bit more, but she gets herself to the free throw line because that going to the left hand. But here's the pass. I mean, McBride is getting plenty of air time to get the shot off. And that was, you know, again, Griner has only taken one shot after going 10 for 10 in the first half in that last game. And fouls, 2 of 5. Those two are number 1 and 2 in field goal percentage.
Griner coming into the night 82% at the line.
And Griner is 1 of 5 people in the league right now averaging over 20 points. And she has 2.
Lynx lead is 11. Clarendon is back out there running the point for Minnesota. Collier. And it's finally controlled by Phoenix, and Diggins Smith hurries into the offensive end.
Again, Diggins Smith trying to create contact, but instead Griner is going to get called for the foul in the back court.
Loose ball foul, 42, Brittany Griner for second.
I think there was a technical as well.
If it was, I'm sure it was on Skylar Diggins Smith, because he felt that there was a lot of contact down there. And
McBride will shoot the tee.
well, you can see what the Lynx are doing. You haven't really seen the Lynx leave the floor to block a shot. They're just getting position.
Yeah.
And then you see the Mercury players, when they're getting inside, they're trying to create contact, but they're not getting any fouls called. So you might as well concentrate on making a shot. And Sandy Brondello talked before the game also, saying we have to adjust to the officials. They're going to call it different every time.
Sure.
And so whatever they're calling, we've got to adjust to that.
Personal foul, by the way, was on Griner. Clarendon underneath the fouls, and on the second try gets it to go.
Just such a good pick and roll, and fouls just, you know, using the screen so well, opening up her teammates. And that's the thing about Sylvia Fowles. I mean, she's got double-doubles and 30-point games and 19 rebounds this year, and yet she can not have a lot of numbers, but she's so effective for her team.
She played at LSU. I think she was teammates with Simone Augustus for a big period of time.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, her freshman year, she played for Sue Gunner. And,
yes.
The great Sue Gunner, and was a 1980 Olympic coach. But, you know, the thing about Sylvia, it took her a while, I think, in the league, because she was so sweet. Sylvia is such a nice person. And short by Taurasi on that 3. But Sylvia had to take time, because even when she was a sophomore, she was dominating. But they didn't start her. She didn't want to start, and all the fans were upset. But Simone was just a superstar, as she was in this league.
Griner the rebound. Diggins Smith.
And Turner runs right into her, bringing her defense, didn't know where she was going. And, you know, Skylar Diggins doing so many good crossovers. And by the time she got to the last one, Turner was right there, block her out.
You can see the frustration on Skylar Diggins Smith's face.
Yeah.
And that could be a team-wide frustration for the Mercury at the moment, because very few things are going right for them.
They've got 8 turnovers. The Lynx scored 13 points off of that. Diggins Smith is a high scorer for the Mercury at 9 points, and 18 points already for McBride.
Clarendon all the way to the hoop, off the glass and in.
Now the Lynx, with this kind of lead, are just playing so at ease, and this is the hard part for the Mercury. When they get down like this, it's so hard to climb back, but yet this is a Lynx team. As I said, they've come back from a lot of games this season already.
Phoenix calls a timeout. They're down 16. Just under 2 minutes to go in this first half, a half that has been dominated by the Lynx, especially in the second quarter. And once again, at least through the first half of this game, and the Lynx are shooting the lights out.
Yeah, they really are. When you get a big lead, but certainly I think the Mercury have done a nice job on the boards. They've got 13 boards to the 15 by the Lynx, and Sylvia Fowles has 6 of those. But the assists, there's 13 assists by the Lynx and only 6 for the Mercury. And Mercury they're shooting 40%, but the Lynx are shooting 57%. And 6 of 13 from threes for 46%.
Griner to Taurasi. She's fouled.
I like the move coming out of this timeout, posting Diana Taurasi up, and Griner making the pass. It's a tough pass from that angle. You'd like to see her come a little bit lower down towards the free throw line extended, but Taurasi gets it, and she's so good wherever she is on the floor. People talk about spots. Players got to get to their spots, which didn't hear that terminology when I played.
Yeah.
What was a spot? Anywhere on the floor was a spot. But Taurasi can go anywhere, and that is a spot for her.
Yeah, I was going to say, there is every inch of the 94 feet seems like a spot for Diana Taurasi. Collier. And that goes off the glass and in. She's fouled. That goes against Megan Walker, and that is Megan Walker's first.
A couple of UConn players, Huskies out there. There's a few of them out there, along with the Irish.
Yeah, both schools are very well represented. And the lead for Minnesota now, 17. Taurasi lost her defender, but a whistle, and I think...
Well, Clarendon tripped over Griner, so they both went down as a late whistle, but they'll call the foul on Clarendon.
And Cheryl Reeves going to have to get Crystal Dangerfield back in as Clarendon has picked up foul number 3.
Griner moved a little bit, but once she released and was going to the basket, Clarendon tripped over.
Minnesota's over the team foul limit. And indeed, Dangerfield comes back in. Wednesday night, as you mentioned, Cheryl Reeve almost kind of split it evenly. Clarendon played most of the first quarter, Dangerfield the second. Griner now with 4 points, all at the free throw line. Dangerfield doesn't get the 3, and Taurasi ends up with the rebound, and a down-court pass was tipped away from Skylar Diggins-Smith.
Now the Lynx just sending one to the offensive glass, and if it's Sylvia fouls, you're in pretty good hands, but the Lynx getting back transition defense and making it tough for the Mercury to get a run going.
Griner goes out top. Diggins-Smith back to Taurasi. Out to Griner. And Brittany Griner's first field goal of the evening.
Well, the X factor are liking that. An easy basket and an assist for Taurasi.
Collier has it blocked, and they're going to call the foul on Walker.
Well, Sandy Brondello, frustration over there on the other side. And there's 11 fouls called by both teams.
Not a lot of contact, it didn't appear.
Well, they'll probably say that her arms were forward. And that's the hardest part. When you get down low and when you're defending, you have to bend your knees because it makes you sit, which pulls your shoulders back and brings your arms back. But a lot of times when you're defending, you get in there and you put your arms up and they go forward automatically.
Lynx are perfect. In fact, both teams are perfect at the free throw line in this first half, as we're under a minute to go. Walker has it blocked by Collier.
Sandy Brondello wanted a foul on that. It's the same thing. Wouldn't be surprised if she gets a technical because she was livid.
And indeed, she gets a technical after McBride hits the hoop. Kayla McBride now 8 of 9 from the field, 20 points. And yeah, I'm with you. You could see that coming. And they call a delay a game against the Mercury as well.
Well, the Mercury have done a good job this year as far as they have been the ones to get to the free throw line. And I know Cheryl Reeve was upset that they only took 9, but also in a game earlier that the Mercury forced the LA Sparks to only 4 free throws. And so, you know, I mean, when you got Brittany Griner down there too, and you're playing good defense, but it helps when you get a lead. And right now, again, the foul's not going for the Mercury, and what kind of adjustments they've got to make. They've got to put some defensive stops out here. And this is not a game that they certainly can't get back into.
You know they have the offensive potential to make up the deficit, but you're right. The first thing you got to do is you got to stop Minnesota from putting up so many points.
And they had some good looks early, but they turned the ball over early 3 times.
Taurasi goes to Walker. Doesn't go, and the half comes to an end. So Minnesota dominant, especially in the second quarter, when they outscored the Mercury by 14 in quarter 2 alone. And they take an 18-point lead into the locker room at halftime. Coming up at halftime, relive Diana Taurasi becoming the first player in WNBA history to reach 9,000 career points. Lynx by 18. Minnesota leads it by 18 as we get ready for the second half at Phoenix Suns Arena. And along with Ann Myers-Drysdale, I'm Jeff Munn. Stop me if you've heard this before, but Minnesota was led by the red-hot shooting of Kayla McBride in the first half.
Her third 20-point game. Her season high is 26, which was the last time they played against Phoenix. And Kayla McBride is just beating you from everywhere on the floor. And she's knocking down threes. Her teammates are finding her. And then she's curling around screens. She's getting in the lane. She's getting herself to the free throw line. And, you know, just showing her versatility of all the ways she can beat you. And certainly shooting the ball well. As she's gotten to the free throw line 2 of 2, she's 3 of 4 from three-point range, and you know, just with those 21 points, has just done a fabulous job for the Lynx.
Conversely, if you look at the backcourt for the Mercury, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Diana Taurasi are a combined 5 of 14, and that needs to improve for Phoenix in the second half.
Well, certainly struggling tremendously, and they've had some tough shots. I think even when they've been open, they've you know, kind of had to hurry the shot a little bit. So nothing's been easy for them. I mean, that was probably the best shot that we saw by the Mercury, and it probably wasn't the easiest. I think they had a couple layups, but still the Mercury just really have not gotten on track. They've kind of slow, and then when the Lynx really took off on them, they just haven't been able to get stops. They haven't been able to get good shots, and certainly you want to get those 2 players started. And
a lot of that will be reflected in the first half stats, as you see there. The Lynx shooting 58% from the field and 6 of 14 from three-point range. And as you've pointed out, Ann, the assist category, the Lynx have 15 assists. The Mercury are usually pretty good at moving the ball around. Just 7 assists in that first half.
Yeah, and 4 of 11 from three-point range. So if you're not hitting from the outside and certainly not from the, you know, your 2-pointers, you're not going to get those assists. But the points in the paint, certainly I think that the Lynx need a lot of credit as far as their defense. They're number 8 in scoring defense and have held the Mercury to 41 points.
So as we look to the second half, and your keys for the second half of this game?
Well, for Minnesota, they've got an 18-point lead. They've just got to stay calm and control the tempo of this game, continue to play good defense and run their offense. And Phoenix, they've got to get the ball inside. BG's only got 2 shots in this game, and she's 4 of 4 from the free throw line. 6 points and 3 rebounds is not going to do it for you when you've got a player that averages over 20 points a game and gets 8 double-doubles this season already. So, you know, this is a player you've got to establish her inside, and whether she gets fouled or, you know, but get an inside-outside game going. And even Sylvia Fowles, I mean, she's 3 of 8 from the floor. She's 6 points and 7 rebounds, but she hasn't gotten on track. But, you know, her teammates are helping her out. Somebody's got to help Brittany Griner out.
The interesting thing about the way this game has gone in the first 20 minutes is both teams have committed the same number of fouls, but it's the fouls that haven't been called, especially on the Phoenix side of things. Diana Taurasi, Skylar Diggins-Smith, and head coach Sandy Brondello all with technicals in the first half. And Griner misses a jumper to open half number 2.
Well, it's a good play when they came out, and obviously in the last game, she was hitting those shots. But Sylvia Fowles' defense is a little bit different, and I thought that Griner rushed that shot a little bit.
Speaking of rushing shots, McBride might have rushed that one a little bit. And Taurasi into the offensive end for the Mercury. She's knocked to the floor.
I don't know how she does it at 39 to continue to go inside. I mean, she creates those fouls. And Dantas is not happy about how her shoulder feels. But for her to split that defense, she's just such a physical player. And she goes into Dantas, but she trips right over her leg, too.
First foul on Dantas. And Griner.
The Griner's got to get a better angle, and Sylvia Fowles is so active and athletic, but Griner's got to get a better angle to use the backboard and not allow Sylvia Fowles to push her out. And look at Dantas getting deep in the lane. Same thing that they did in the first half.
Shoots a little fadeaway that doesn't go, and Turner the rebound. The thing of it is, though, the first two possessions for the Mercury in the second half, they've gone right to Brittany Griner. That one a miss by Kia Nurse.
Well, not a high percentage shot, but I liked how she was aggressive. But nobody from the Mercury attacked the offensive glass.
Dantas, another miss from three-point range. Dantas now 2 of 8 from outside the arc.
Now she's going for her third Olympics for Brazil. How about this? When she started playing, she went to Jeanette Arcane, one of the great players of the WNBA in the early days.
Yes,
with the
I
Comets.
remember.
She went to Jeanette Arcane's basketball institute at 11 years old.
McBride misses a 3, and it ends up in Turner's hands. Down court, Diggins Smith.
Again, contact, but Clarendon getting out of the way enough where Diggins Smith misses the shot.
Okay, now I'm racking my brain. Arcane played for
Houston Comets.
That's right.
4 championships. The very first 4 with Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Tina Thompson, Van Chancellor, the coach.
Collier with the shot there. Yeah, Houston, that team was pretty good.
Year in and year out, I'd say. Started off this league in 1997, and they played in the finals that first year against Phoenix. Cheryl Miller was the coach.
Yes, indeed.
Jennifer Gillum, Michelle Timms, Bridget Pettis.
Foul is on Collier. I mean, you and me, it seems like yesterday that was going on, but
I know I laugh when I hear Candace Parker or Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi talk about, well, we're old. And I was like, well, okay.
yeah, well.
Remember the ones that got you here.
Exactly.
Remember the ones that were in the beginning. As a matter of fact, the WBL back in late 70s, early 80s was the first women's professional basketball league.
And there was a league that was operating right before the WNBA
ABL.
started,
the ABL.
Taurasi makes both free throws.
That's why I said, 2000 was, people will say that might have been the first dream team for the WNBA, but I say it was 1996 because those women that were on that team basically were the Olympic team, but they played around the country. And even though there wasn't a pro league yet for the WNBA, most of them played around 60 games, I think, against different teams.
A 3 doesn't go by Alana Smith.
Yeah, she had plenty of time.
Come in for the first time.
Yeah, she's only averaging about 6 minutes a game. And this up-tempo is, I think, an advantage for, Clarendon knocking the ball out of Taurasi's hands. And she does such a great job, Clarendon, I think, does, as far as recognizing where the dribble is on the person that she's guarding. And Diana kind of had a high dribble on the left hand. And there was contact, and Taurasi not happy about it. Well, Taurasi creates contact.
Loose ball foul, and it's her second.
Yeah, once the ball was loose, Diana just kind of kept going into Clarendon, and that's where the foul was called.
Clarendon
nice
inside the fouls, but you're right, it was a terrific pass. And Nurse does not convert at the other end. And Clarendon is bumped in backcourt by Skylar Diggins Smith. And you start to see the frustration is really starting to come out now for the Mercury.
But that's where you have to say, you know, let it go. I mean, it's not going to change. So, and we talked about it in the first half. So even on that play, I thought Nurse was going to go in for a reverse. Instead, she tries to create the contact and takes herself out of a position to get the shot in a good way to get the off the board.
Clarendon with a free throw line jumper, and Minnesota's lead is 20.
Now, Clarendon has been solid in this game, 15 minutes, but she's 4 of 4 from the floor with 4 assists.
And they call a foul on Kayla McBride. That's McBride's second. And we talked about it. Cheryl Reeve was able to sign Laisha Clarendon away after Clarendon had been let go in New York. Cheryl Reeve moved very quickly to get Clarendon in.
And Clarendon had her best year last year in New York with Sabrina Ionescu out. And so she got a lot of minutes out there, and she thought she was going to be on the team, but they brought in a lot of guys. Benaja Laney, Sammy Whitcomb. Again, great rotation, great shot, but ball doesn't fall. Now you can see the quick ball movement by the Lynx, and Clarendon getting Diggins Smith on her back, and 5 for 5 for Clarendon, and the Lynx shooting 52%, 32% for the Mercury.
10 points for Clarendon to go with 4 assists.
That was a lazy pass, and Smith doesn't come up with it. So instead, it's a turnover and a foul.
They called a jump ball. Shepard reached in and tied up Smith.
Now you can kind of see the air has gone out of the Mercury a little bit. And certainly when you're this behind, it's hard and shots aren't falling for you. But, you know, if you can do some positive things, you got to take it one possession at a time.
Yeah, it's not too often when the Mercury are playing without a lot of energy in front of the X Factor.
Well, the Mercury only have 2 points in this quarter.
Clarendon, and that was knocked away by Smith.
You know, and Cheryl Reeve has talked about the defense, and they held Seattle to 5 points in their fourth quarter.
That was a shot clock violation, by the way, so the Mercury do get it back.
Even against Vegas in that overtime game, they held Vegas in the fourth quarter to 20% from the floor.
Shea Petty is in for Phoenix, as is Macon Walker, who drives down the middle and fouls, blocks it. McBride fouls, gives it to Shepard, who can't hit the three.
Nice pass.
Griner can't get the shot to fall, and they're going to call
on Griner. But what a big block by Sylvia Fowles, and there's a good pass inside by Diana Trossi. And Griner made the move into the lane, but a big block by Big Sill.
Timeout, Minnesota with a big lead in the third quarter. Offense this third quarter being generated by Laisha Clarendon in a variety of ways.
Yeah, she's really done a good job running the offense and just dominating the ball, knowing when to hold on to it, when to take the shot, use the screens, getting the defense on her hips, getting to the basket. I mean, her passing really has been pretty special in this game so far. She's got 4 assists, but she's 5 of 6 from the floor. She's the fourth player with double figures, and Cheryl Reeve has talked about getting, 5, 6 players in double figures, and this is a team that does that a lot this season.
10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. That's a stat line that any coach is going to appreciate out of a point guard.
Well, they've won their last 3 games and last 4 out of 5. It's almost like you discount those first 4 games because now they're getting everybody back, and they hope to get Aerial Powers back.
And Clarendon, a tough shot, now has 12 points. Smith. Hands it to Taurasi. And that is blocked by fouls. And Taurasi can't convert the three, and Clarendon has rebound number 6 on the night.
And this is Taurasi's 3rd game back. Remember the first game she came back and had 25 points. But, you know, fatigue, and Sandy Brondello talked about, you know, maybe a little fatigue in the last game, and you could see that Taurasi was kind of pointing at the bench. She's 2 of 8 from the floor and 1 of 4 from 3, so 11 points, double figures, but, you know, Taurasi's got her tough on that wind.
Phoenix takes another timeout. Minnesota with a 26-point lead. And nothing seems to be going right for the Mercury at the moment. A lot of frustration on the bench.
Yeah, shooting under 30% from the floor. And Sandy Brondello has really kind of gone to her bench.
Taurasi's out of there.
The Mercury will travel to Las Vegas and play the Aces Wednesday.
There's a jumper from Kia Vaughn.
Just the 4th point in this quarter for the Mercury.
You mentioned playing Las Vegas. Clarendon, another tough shot, and the foul. That foul is going to go against Vaughn. We said at the top of the broadcast that here's that play again as Clarendon goes to the hoop.
Just a give and go, and does such a great job getting to the basket and gets the pass back. And, you know, Clarendon came into the league from Cal in 2013 as the number 9 pick for Indiana. This is her 5th team. So we've seen that a lot during the season, that you don't give up. Players don't give up. I mean, you're going to be traded and you're going to be, you know, cut and waived, and there's somebody that's going to want you. You've got to stay persistent.
We talked about that in relation to Candace Dupree. Won't be long before somebody calls on Candace Dupree after she was waived by Seattle.
Well, she's such a veteran, and, you know, what is she, number 4 on points, active?
Right, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
She's the active leading scorer in the league, and, you know, we had her in Phoenix and won a championship with her, and certainly I think Candace Dupree is so smooth. It's just so much fun to watch.
That last foul on Shepard. And I believe they'll get Dangerfield for a foul here. And they do. I was going to mention that, you know, we talked at the start of the broadcast about the intense rivalry between the Mercury and Lynx. I've always thought that there was a budding rivalry just because of the geography between Phoenix and Las Vegas. And I've been to a couple Aces games up there at the Mandalay Bay, and it's very much a party atmosphere just like it is here most of the time. And so that's worth watching, and obviously the Aces are having a really strong year.
Well, it just seems throughout the league that the West has a lot of rivalries, whether it's Vegas, LA, Seattle, Minnesota. Used to be San Antonio, now
right.
It's Vegas. But in the Mercury, they just create a lot of that competition.
Well, being one of the originals, I think, brings a lot of attention. And the success that the franchise has had with multiple championships, stars like Taurasi and Griner, anytime they come to town, fans know they're there. McBride, another 3. We're getting to burn the film territory here.
But even, you know, talking about the Olympics, there's only 2 players in the WNBA from the East Coast, Tina Thompson and Ariel Atkins. Everybody else is on a Western team, whether it's Minnesota, Seattle, Vegas.
That'll tell you about where the strength
Phoenix.
of the league is. And McBride stepped on the sideline.
Well, Sandy Brondello just going to rest her starters as much as she can. And just a tough game to come back into. We'll see what the conditioning is of the second string.
Under a minute to go in the third quarter.
That was a good cut by Walker.
Diggins Smith knocks down the three.
Now she's 3 of 5 from the three-point range. Oh, tough catch.
Collier with a hoop.
What a pass by Shepard. And Shepard and Turner, they played together. And, of course, then you got Mabry and Ogunbowale down in Dallas. And, they know how to play with each other. And that high-low post that Notre Dame ran.
Smith out of Stanford.
Yeah, she'll be on the Australian Opals team for the Olympics for Sandy Brondello, as Stephanie Talbot up in Seattle, who's leading the league in three-point shooting percentage, who played here in Phoenix.
Dangerfield.
Oh, she did a nice job keeping her dribble. And then Skylar Diggins coming down. Nice pass.
Couldn't get it to go, and the third quarter comes to an end, and it is pretty much all Minnesota. Through 3 quarters of play, the Minnesota lead is 28. Going to be pretty challenging. There's that Wednesday road game in Las Vegas, and then back Friday night for a matchup with the Seattle Storm. In fact, the first of back-to-back games, with the second one being in Seattle. And then the Olympic break. And the other thing working against the Mercury schedule-wise is when they come out of the Olympic break, most of their remaining games will be on the road. So they'll have their work cut out for them.
Well, they'll open up at home when they come back against Atlanta, Indiana, and Washington. And then you're right, they go on the road with Atlanta and 2 New York games.
So into the fourth quarter. Collier and a foul. That might be Alana Smith. No, Megan Walker. And that's Walker's third.
The advantage Cheryl Reeve has with putting Sylvia Fowle on the bench right now is the ability to have somebody like Collier to be able to play that center position. At 6'1", she plays a lot taller than she is, just understands how to play with her back to the basket. She's had a game where she got to the line 13 times. So she'll beat you from the inside, outside.
Minnesota passed the 80-point mark, and that's usually a sign of good things to come. They're 5-1 coming into tonight when scoring 80 points or more.
And they've scored 100 points this year against Atlanta in a win by 20.
Little shot in the lane by Crystal Dangerfield. So as you mentioned, an opportunity for Sandy Brondello to see some of her reserves. There's a three that is short by Megan Walker and goes out of bounds. At this point, there just isn't that much to be accomplished by getting Griner and Taurasi back out there.
No, and certainly Cheryl Reeve has to be pleased with the way this game has gone for the Lynx. I mean, shooting percentage-wise, they're shooting over 55% from the floor. They're number 3 in the league. Field goal percentage rise. They're number 6 in scoring points. Defensively, they're holding the Mercury to 30% from the floor.
A three by Walker.
Now, Walker can shoot it. I mean, it's just a matter of getting her timing, and I think those games that she started for Diana Taurasi when she was out 7 games, and then Dangerfield knocking down a 3. They are 8 of 19 from the three-point line.
We said at the outset of the game that they had been shooting the ball well, pretty consistently.
Well, they're going to move up in the three-point category because, as I said, coming into this game, they were still number 10 in shooting from three-pointers, and the Mercury are number 11.
Dangerfield another 3. And that one doesn't draw iron. 7 of the last 10 games for the Lynx coming into tonight, they'd shot 45% from the field or better. And as Ann mentioned, they're close to 56% from the field this evening as Kia Nurse comes back in.
How do you like this stat? Back in 2011, go back to 2011, 84 of the 92 games that the Lynx have out-rebounded their opponent by 10 points. They've won 84 of those 92 games going back to 2011. And this will be number 85 because they are leading 34-23 on rebounds.
Plus 11 in rebounding, plus 4 in the turnover battle, shooting 55% from the field. And a 3 by Shea Petty. I mean, you hear those team stats, and you don't even look at the score. Shepard not able to convert.
No, but I love the fact that she followed her shot. We don't see that very often, and that's just a, you know, that's ingrained in players.
That one doesn't go, and Carlton comes out of there with it for Minnesota. Lynx led by 4 at the end of one quarter, and that was pretty much that as far as the competitive phase of the game. Dantas. Smith. Inside, she has a couple threes. Now she's scoring in the lane. Minnesota will call a timeout. So Alana Smith with 4 points, but Minnesota still comfortably in front. Take a look at the WNBA standings, and this includes the afternoon action. And you'll notice that Indiana picked up their 2nd win of the year earlier today, defeating Connecticut. But up at the top, Las Vegas and Seattle, that's not going to come as much of a shock to anybody.
No, and they've both been playing well. Storm squeaked one out last night against the Atlanta Dream. And the Dream are, you know, they're 6-10 as the Sparks are, but they're such dangerous teams. And certainly everybody and coaches have talked about it, players have talked about it. No matter what's going on from the 6-10 to the 8-7, anybody can win.
And you saw the Lynx at the 4 spot. The importance of that is if you stay at 4, you stay out of that first elimination round.
Well, the Mercury have, you know, they've been in the 8 spot before and have done very well.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that this team is really going to come together too, and they won't be in the 8 spot. I think that they're going to have some good games.
Cunningham for 3.
Nice little pump fake by Cunningham. Get the defense to fly by her.
Diggin Smith, the leading scorer for Phoenix with 12.
And next is Taurasi with 11. So those 2 steals by Cunningham, she needs to stay in a defensive position. You know, that far out, you really take yourself out of the play, and it puts a lot of pressure on your teammates.
Dangerfield with a 3 for Minnesota. Petty goes to Cunningham. To Alana Smith.
Yeah, too much time on the clock running that 2-man play.
And did the shot clock run out? It did.
You know, we talked about it in the last game, Jeff, and you mentioned it. The ball is sticking.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not going from side to side and cuts to the basket. And so when you run a 2-man game like that, it just makes it really tough for everybody else to get caught standing around.
Under 5 minutes to go now with a 29-point Minnesota lead. And they've been in control throughout this second half. A whistle and an offensive foul on Dantas. You know, you were mentioning, we were talking about the Olympic team going back to '96. And I really believe, and I think a lot of people probably
I can go back to
this way.
76 if you want.
You can go back to 76. But I think that 96 team, that was really the inspiration for the creation of this league. If I remember correctly, Tara Vanderveer coached them in Atlanta.
Right, she took a year off from University of Stanford, and oh, nice shot, doesn't go in, but good hustle by Smith to try and get the rebound. But the Lynx have done such a good job on the boards. That's their 36th, and Fowles leaves it with 10. Dantas with 7. But it was, the ABL was already going on, and
right.
Val Ackerman, who was working in the NBA office with David Stern and so forth, and as a matter of fact, David Stern was in the NBA offices when I tried out with the Pacers, so he knew that women could play.
And Minnesota with a big lead, and we have a timeout. Just over 4 minutes left here with the Minnesota Lynx firmly in control en route to their 9th win of the year.
Yeah, I want to get back to the start of the WNBA with Val Ackerman being the first president, who is going into the Naismith Hall of Fame in September, along with Yolanda Griffith, who played at Sacramento.
Right.
And Catchings and just went in, Tamika Catchings, and so did Kim Mulkey, who will be at LSU next year coaching, and Pearl Moore from St. Francis, and she is the all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball with over 4,000 points. And a lot of people forget about her, but she is going to go into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Oh, nice pass. And a better block.
By Smith.
Lynx,
Dantas off the glass.
the Lynx just don't give up. Again,
Nope.
Scoring in the paint. They've got 40 points in the paint right now.
They are plus 26 in that category. And their lead is 33.
And so much that we've seen in the 2 games against Phoenix, certainly in these 2 games, how well nice shot by Petty. That's her second 3. But, you know, the fact that the Lynx, we talk about how many points they can score in the paint, but it's opened up by their 3-point shooting, especially by McBride. But Collier and Dantas can knock down shots too.
McBride 9 for 13 from the field tonight. There's another shot inside by Dantas.
Shepard is such a good passer.
Nurse back out to Cunningham. And the rebound taken out of there by Carlton.
Well, certainly the Mercury are going to have to regroup, especially that third quarter. I thought the Lynx came out and they just dominated the defense and made it very difficult for the Mercury to make shots. I thought also, even though the fouls have been even throughout the game, certainly I thought that the Lynx were a lot more physical, and the Mercury could not get calls, especially when they were going to the basket. You know, but the Mercury have to regroup for Vegas, because Vegas is just as physical, and they just picked up Kia Stokes,
yes,
who was released from New York. And Liz Cambage, who will be on the Olympic team for Sandy Brondello for the Opals, she'll be on All-Star. And so she's staying. Sandy Brondello is allowing her to play in the All-Star game, rather than that's going to be the training camp for, at that time, also for the Opals. And certainly a good competition for Liz Cambage to go up against the USA women.
There's a 3 from Megan Walker. You talk about young talent in this league. Minnesota's got their fair share, and Vegas does as well.
Well, the Mercury returned 9 players, and they are one of the older teams in the league. Nice steal by Smith.
Not able to convert in the lane, and Clarendon. Laisha has 7 rebounds. And we near 1 minute to go here at Phoenix Suns Arena.
McBride only has 24 points. She only scored 3 points in the second half, has sat most of the second half, but had 21 in that first half. And as you said, Clarendon with 17.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 of 9 from the floor.
We said the Lynx will improve to 9-7. Mercury will drop to 7-9.
Yeah, certainly a disappointing, not only loss, but just the way the Mercury were able to play and get behind in this game. But, you know, the Lynx just really controlled it. And the Lynx missed shots early on. Dantas was taking those three-point shots, and she was able to knock a couple down.
Late foul on that drive by Dangerfield.
And Dantas only had 2 threes, but they were key threes at the certain times of the game.
If you'll recall, as you said, the Mercury had a little scoring run in the first quarter. They did have at one point a 5-point lead. But as you pointed out, Minnesota just kept coming and coming.
And I'm so happy for Crystal Dangerfield, again, another Husky UConn player, but was Rookie of the Year, had the opportunity to start and play for this Minnesota Lynx team that's been so successful, and Cheryl Reeve putting a lot of trust into her.
Now Dangerfield's second free throw try.
You know, she went to 3 Final Fours with Connecticut. They didn't win. When she got there, they had won 11 championships. And then her senior year, COVID hit. And so they had to cancel the season.
Mercury are just going to dribble out the remaining seconds. And among other things, it'll keep the Lynx from hitting triple digits. Sandy Brondello and Cheryl Reeve meet at center court. And that, as they say, will be that. And the Mercury, a rough night in front of the X Factor, and Minnesota just keeps right on rolling. Back-to-back games where they look very impressive in Phoenix. Minnesota wins it. A big win tonight for the Minnesota Lynx as they defeat the Phoenix Mercury by 31 here at Phoenix Suns Arena. And along with the Hall of Famer Ann Myers-Drysdale, I'm Jeff Munn, and a lot like Wednesday night, Ann, Kayla McBride really set the tone for Minnesota offensively this evening.
She did. It was so much fun to see where she got her shots, and she was knocking down her threes, but using the screens. Sylvia Fowles set some really amazing screens for her teammates, but they were able to post up inside, and then the lane would open up for her. So she got points off the three-point shot, off drives to the basket, spins to the basket, free throw line, and she hit her spots tonight, that's for sure, for the Lynx.
You know, and we said it at the beginning of the telecast that Nafisa Collier and Sylvia Fowles would be big inside factors. Collier, very solid night, and that's 2 games in a row where she's been very effective inside.
The 2019 Rookie of the Year, and she just never stops moving. That's what I love about her game. She's just constant motion on both ends of the floor, and she'll get the ball, but she'll also set great picks, and she never quits playing.
Final stats on tonight are going to tell you all about, and as I said in the final minutes, you could look at the stats and wouldn't even need to look at the scoreboard. 55% from the field. That's the 8th time in the last 11 games that the Lynx have shot 45% or better from the field. Plus 10 in assists, plus 28 in points in the paint. That's that inside game we were talking about.
It is. It just looked like the Mercury were not ready to play. The fact that Brittany Griner only had 5 shots and only 1 shot in the first half. When you have somebody that big that is coming off 2 big games that we've promoted her in the beginning and then just cannot get the ball, I think that's tough for the Mercury. They've got to come out and readjust and be ready for Las Vegas.
Both teams back in action on Wednesday. The Mercury will be in Las Vegas against the Aces. Minnesota goes home to host Dallas. So Minnesota wins big tonight by 31 over the Mercury. For Ann Myers-Drysdale and our entire crew, I'm Jeff Munn. Thank you so much for being with us. Good night from Phoenix.